On December 6, 2022, Dwarf Fortress was publicly released to Steam to overwhelming acclaim and bringing in some of the highest Steam review scores of all time. And if you somehow still miss the embarking wagon here, this is why and how I consider it one of my play it for life games. There's a quote from Carl Sagan that goes, "If you want to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first create the universe." And I mean, this is literally the case in Dwarf Fortress. Before you even start making your little community, you must first build the world for them to have it and explore it and to make history in. You can adjust things like landmass size, types of minerals naturally found, how they are distributed, and even more chronological things like the length of a year. So say you wanted to create something akin to the swamps of Dagba, so you would tell the game that you wanted a world with high rainfall, low drainage, and some low quality topsoil and clay layers, and boom, now you got some medieval space dwarves. So once your world is generated, you play on one of Dwarf Fortress's 3 principal modes. So once your world is generated, you play on one of 3 Dwarf Fortress's principal modes. So the titular Dwarf Fortress mode is number 1, where you are building and managing a colony of dwarves that are all kind of, AI controlled. Since you're dealing with colonies, you can get up to like the hundreds in size, assuming that your PC can handle it first of all. But you are basically constrained to the level of a deity where you can forcefully guide your people, but you can't really infect individuals unless for some divine reason like necromancy. Kinda like the episode of Futurama where Bender becomes a god.
Fear not, my lord. We shall be with you soon.
You with me now? This is the maximum level of being with me.
We will solve our own problems as you commanded. The time has come to convert the unbelievers.
Convert them?
To radioactive vapor.
Now these dwarves are fully and anatomically generated with hair, teeth, toes, blood, and literal muscle being generated per character, along with wants, needs, preferences, and other mentally defined attributes. Kinda like that episode of Futurama where Bender becomes a god.
You know, I was God once.
Yes, I saw. You were doing well until everyone died.
Now, adventure mode is akin to a roguelike where you take a lone murder hobo across your generated land and you're exploring the ruins and doing quests. You can even visit your active and fallen fortresses and reminisce about the time you used captured goblins to create a facsimile of the Danger Room from X-Men in order to train your military dwarves. Maybe that was just me. It was a really good suggestion, and I went with it. Speaking of combat, the combat system in Dwarf Fortress is anatomically detailed. Combat is displayed by viewing the log, which describes each weapon striking a specific part of your character's body. Internal organs can get punctured, combatants can fall to the ground, vomit, and lose body parts. And all of these mechanics, calculations, adventures, conquests, victories, and failures are all chronicled in the Legends mode, which lets you view the maps and histories of each civilization that populated your generated world. This includes notable individuals from different cultures and their respective achievements. So sitting there watching all of this play out in a series of moving pixels is kind of weird. You see the larger picture of what's going on around you, but you know that technically there are thousands upon thousands of smaller stories happening just below the surface. You could just spend your whole day watching a young child enjoy their youth in the dank yet ordained halls of a half-built dungeon, playing with animals in their imagination in the open fields, and eventually this child becomes old enough to have his first beer. He heads down to the designated guild tavern with his dad, who brings him for his first drink, and it's something that he's been saving since he literally helped dig out the first few rooms of this fortress that they call home. The elder dwarf gives his son a mug of honey mead. preserved, aged, and bought from the mother fort itself. This mead was brewed by a brewer of regional renown and was in the military with the proud Father Dwarf. This was a parting gift between the two former battle brothers. Flash forward a few years, and that dad has passed. He died trying to defend the fort from a large goblin raid. He has his own crypt with statues and gifts showing how much his community loved him and are thankful of his sacrifice. The child, now a man, goes down to his father's private reserve to have one last drink and to try and capture that feeling one last time. He opens the cabinet and it's gone. Someone at some point in time has stolen it. So he just starts proceeding to beat up everyone in the fortress, causing a literal riot with bloody and blood and body parts. And I mean, like, we're talking actual carnage strewn throughout the halls here, halls marked red. And in the resulting chaos, there's only a few survivors remaining, and as they're trying to find their arms and their limbs and everything else that they can put back inside of them, that goblin alarm bell starts ringing again. So, Dwarf Fortress can really feel like an existential ant farm at times, if you hadn't realized that. It's also, there's also a reason it's been a gaming staple now for over 20 years, and aside from being one of the main inspirations for many games, including Minecraft, always Minecraft, I think there's one game that kind of spawned from it that did the best job of taking the fundamentals of what we discussed and adding their own twist to it. The biggest difference between Dwarf Fortress and RimWorld would really be RimWorld's narrator system. As you're generating your world, you pick from one of several different AIs to act as your storyteller. The AI storyteller is the main mechanism that is used to determine game difficulty and playstyle, and each preset represents a different raid frequencies, and it has like a little cartoon mascot to give you someone to direct all your anger at. Randy. This will periodically create events for your colony, including pirate raids, resource drops, or man-hunting animal packs. I got Chow Chows one time. The AI storyteller does not have an in-game body, a location, or a manifestation. It's just a name given to describe the setting. So your choice of storyteller sets the tone for the colony. A more benevolent storyteller, like Phoebe, will send trade caravans or helpful travelers after hitting your colony with like a really tough raid. The frequency and the type of storyteller events are based on a number of different factors: colony wealth, building wealth, colonist count, animal count, you know, someone's died or been severely wounded recently, how long it's been since the last major event occurred. It takes all of these, you know, numbers and metrics and to decide, yeah, now's the really good time to hit you. If you are familiar with the whole director system from Left 4 Dead, it's very similar to that. I would almost say, like, just kind of its own version of it. You have the director and the narrator, so they're both telling a story. They're both in charge of the story being told. The story being told is a simple one. Your starting group crash land on the titular RimWorld, and they have to do whatever it takes to build a rocket from nothing and head back to space. And by whatever it takes, I mean make hats and toys out of human skin and bones. Especially because of the fact that you can give them direct control, unlike Dwarf Fortress. This means that, like, during raids, you can move your people around and set up like ambushes, pincer attacks, flanks, and things like that, and it gives you a chance to flex a bit more your tactical wrinkles. But this also means that if your wrinkles are not there and you go in too smooth, it's your fault, and you're the reason that you lost that squad that had your entire defensive military gear. Sorry. As of this writing, there are 3 paid expansion packs: Royalty, Ideology, and Biotech, and these 3 packs add just that. More specifically, with Royalty, things like titles and things like psychic abilities and side tech are added as late game goals and items. Ideology adds cultural memes like styles, rituals, and ideologies. Hideo Kojima-san is, was, and always will be a prophet. He will always be right. Memes are the DNA of the soul. Biotech lets you experiment with transhumanism via genetics and cybernetics, so that way you don't have to add as many mods as you normally would to add in those cat people you know that you were thinking about adding. They know what their audiences love, and they are more than willing to give it to them. So if you ever wanted to start a colony of psychically attuned, plant-smoking nudist cat boys, boy, do I have a game for you. And that doesn't even get into the mods. So yeah, basically the mod scene is just a bunch of degenerates. There's really just about every type of world building trope that you can think of. Every age, every style, because RimWorld is more than just a sci-fi type of setting. You can do fantasy, you can do like actual medieval type of style. You have Star Wars, accurate down to the creatures and the weapons and the armor. More cat boys, cat girls, and waifus and other creatures of that sort. Cosmic and Lovecraftian horror. You can do themed after Fallout. There's a bed and breakfast mod that I actually tried messing with one time. You know, as usual, all roads lead down to installing Warhammer mods. At this point, you should kind of see how easy it would be to take all this and literally just slap on some futuristic or mystic sounding names, and yeah, man, you just kind of built your own little world that's in its own little universe, and there's literally limitless things that can happen in this place in terms of possibility. And also at this point you might be realizing, hey, this world building stuff is actually pretty cool. If you actually want to explore this further, here's a couple different games that will help you get started. So Elder Gods first, we'll get them out of the way. D&D, Pathfinder, Starfinder, yes, controversy D&D, blah 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 blah, but I mean, it's like the most obvious go-to in regards to recommendations of tabletop role-playing systems that allow you to start building a world and just kind of slapping some mechanics on it so you can facilitate storytelling. Also, Starfinder rules. So at this point I'm going to assume that you know what Warhammer is. If you don't, it is the game that Henry Cavill invented as a side hustle in between doing Superman and The Witcher stuff. It's also a army scaled war game that utilizes ludicrously priced pieces of plastic. And Age of Sigmar is the fantasy version and apparently the better version for some reason. I keep hearing that. Well, I guess I think it's just because no one hates a 40k fan more than 40k fans. And anyways, one thing that's popular and encouraged by people who know how to actually have fun is creating your own custom faction using your favorite team. Or I guess a custom chapter of Space Marines if, you know, you're into that. Gene Stealer cult all day. The Warhammer games offer alternative rules for what is called narrative play or a narrative campaign play. Narrative play is a style of Warhammer 40k that is focused on the storyline between your army and its battles. With each game, you inject an element of backstory into your collection, while the personality of your collection will inform the types of games that you will play and the missions that you will take on. Games are often linked together, with the result of each game influencing the next and rolling together into a grand storytelling gaming experience that you can physically watch unfold in front of you. This allows you to actually do some more light world building and lore playing within a world that you already know and already love. You already know how all the rules work, you know who all the big players are, but now your custom faction, your custom team can go out there and alter the canon in any way that you like some weird reality bender SCP with a pocket dimension bound by the narrative structures and rules of the universe within. Pataphysics. So how did we get here? Well, I consider myself one of those everything is connected type of people, and aside from the lack of time, I actually feel pretty fulfilled and flourished in regards to my hobby life. Despite me having 4 kids, I've been able to find new types of things to enjoy, and everything we just went through is basically how my train of thought works. It took me a while to realize that RPG is like my main life genre, but what made me realize that was the ability to influence the story and the world. And in case of like tabletop RPGs, I can literally create a world from nothing with the help of my friends or my kids, and I could do things like spend an afternoon trying to find the perfect apple to make an apple pie of the Covenant. I did create the universe to start, after all. I really suggest trying to take the time, find the commonality in all the things that you really enjoy. If you can really dial it in, I almost guarantee you that you will never be bored within your hobby ever again. And that's it. Thank you. This is my second video back, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm sure you can tell between then and now, it's very different. Starting to feel a bit more familiar again. You know, the rust is coming off the chains. So always, please like and subscribe. You know, I'm supposed to keep saying that. I'm going to link to the last video then just to do that. And I definitely think that once I hit 500 subscribers, I'll do a giveaway. And I have some stuff that I made myself that I will give away. Yeah, well, like one of these mugs. Like, I will make one of these for you, and I will send it to you for free if we get those subs up. So, yeah. Thank you again for watching. And please leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me other esoteric things you want me to talk about. And I will. Alright, thank you again. Bye.